Hello, Business 630 students. This is Professor Hassey. This is our week number 1 course video for Business 630 online for this fall session number 1 here at the University of Laverne. This is for our first week, which begins today, August 23rd, and goes to Sunday, August 29th. Every week during the next 8 weeks, I will prepare a video lecture. Today's kind of an introduction video, not too much of a lecture, but a lecture to that point every Monday, which will guide you through your studies of this Business 630. This is a asynchronous class. I don't think I said that right, which is designed to be online only, no class lectures. I have class office hours and ask me any questions or concerns you have about the course, and I'll be there. Terry, you just come on and ask me questions. The whole course is online. It's on Blackboard, and it's in my weekly lectures. So that's what this class is all about, this fall session. And it's a little bit different this fall because we have an 8-week class instead of a 10-week class, which makes it a little bit more intense, a little bit more engagement by the student as soon as possible. You can't take a week off in this class this fall. You got to get involved right off the bat. So our session today, our video session today, we'll talk about the course. We'll look at our course syllabus, highlight our schedule, talk about some questions or some topics for this week. Topics are in return. A lot of you know, if you've already seen the syllabus, that textbook is not required in this class. I provide all the materials in Blackboard, but if you wanted to get the textbook and have it available, it'll be a good tool for you, but it's not necessary. So again, every week I will have an agenda. I will post it to our Blackboard week number, and it'll talk about what we're going to be talking about this class. And then every Monday I will post a video which talks about the week's work. There's work this week, chapter 6. There's also a discussion post that you have to complete to tell us a little bit about yourself and a student bio. Also, there's a choice I'd like you to make. Select a Fortune 500 company, which we will go to throughout our course this fall. So again, I welcome you all. Hope you had a nice week off last week, if some of you took courses this summer. Again, my name is Rick Hassey, and I'll be your instructor throughout this fall session. I look forward to working with you all. I am speaking live and in color from my office in Claremont, California. The regular school year has begun today. I do have classes on the Laverne campus. I am also teaching another remote class, Business 330, on Wednesday evenings. That's a remote class, so there will be class sessions there. But again, there are no class sessions for this class. Only student hours on Monday evening. So let's begin by taking a look at our course syllabus, which I have emailed and made available to you. Again, this is something that you should read through this week. Let you know all the specifics about our course, what we're going to be doing, our schedule, any resources, how I'll be grading. This is an important document that you need to review. Again, with no classes, all you have to do is keep up with the material, do the work, look at the videos that I provide, and you should be in good shape. Here on the front page is my contact number, my cell number, which you can text me any questions you may have. Here's my email address, and here's our Zoom student hours link. Mondays from 6 to 8 p.m. you can come on Zoom. I'll be there to answer any questions. It's no lectures, has nothing to do with the material in the class. It's just me making myself available to answer any questions that you may have. Also, it's a good time to talk to me. So it'd be nice to get to meet all of you in class. We have quite a full class, 28 students. That's a lot of people. But if you'd like to just come on Monday night and say hi, introduce yourself, since we're not going to be meeting officially, please feel free to do so. Here are some other links to our resources. There's our Blackboard link. There's again our Zoom office hours link. We have a YouTube channel where I post all videos. You see a lot of these videos in the Blackboard, but also there's one central playlist in YouTube for this Business 630 class that you can go to and watch videos. Also, I have a Twitter finance account, and also there's the Wall Street Journal, which is a very important tool in the study of finance. You don't have to go out and buy it, but that's a link so you can use it. A description of our course, some of the key evaluation points and key objectives of our course. Please review that. How I will assess that. Here is our textbook, the 16th edition of Financial Management Theory and Practice. Again, it is not required. It's only a tool that you can purchase, which will help you in this class. Our grading, we have basically two types of grades in this class. We will have some case studies, 4 of them to be exact, during the course of our 8 weeks. The first case study is planned for week number 3. That's our first case study. That'll encompass the first few chapters that we go over these first couple of weeks. Case papers, and then case studies, and then you'll have one case paper, an assessment paper, which we will determine and announce next week in our class, which will be a group paper. I'll be putting you into groups, probably of 3 or 4 students, and each one of the members of your group will be putting together a piece of the case and putting it all together into a group case paper for this class. Due to the nature of the case, group work is good. It can help it. There's a lot of materials in the case, a lot of work to do. Having a team to do parts of each work will help you. The key thing is each group member has to work the same amount as the other group members, not 1 or 2 people doing all the work. And I'll be explaining all this next week in our class. So case studies and a case paper, which will be a group paper, is the grading of our course this semester, this session. And there's some explanation of all the work. Please feel free to look that over. Group activities, academic honesty, the University of Laverne mission and University of Vision goals. Some links to resources available to us if you need some help. All types of services, counseling, student health, campus safety, academic success center, food pantry. Again, this is an online class, but you're still entitled to all these services that the university offers if you need some help, notwithstanding the work in this class. If you need some aid as a student, feel free to ask me about these or take advantage of these links. This is a remote class or an online class, so privacy is an issue. All the posted videos that I have are all unlisted. They're only available to the students of this class and nobody else. And here's our schedule. Each schedule defines what we'll be talking about each week and also gives some related articles. Now, these related articles are not a graded part of this class or part of the case studies, but they give you additional information about corporate finance and the topics that we'll be studying. So I urge you, if you can, download some of these. You can go to the Wilson Library website. I'm sure you guys know all about that, and look for these articles in the database and explain them. So we're talking about risk and return this week, which is the nature of all corporate finance to maximize shareholder value to provide the greatest return possible at the minimal amount of risk. You don't want to invest in a stock that's going to go bankrupt in 6 months. You don't want to lend money to a company in a bond that's going to be broke in a year and a half. There's a certain amount of risk and return in all types of financial, strategic, critical thinking decisions. And that's what we're going to be talking about. And then anything in yellow on this schedule is a grade. And if it's yellow, it's due on Sunday evening. And there's our first case. There's our second case in week 5, our third case, in week 5, our third case in week 6, and our case 4 in week 8, our last week, along with your paper, your group paper due. So please take some time and look this over, understand the material, understand what we're trying to be doing. If you have any questions, this is the time to ask me. Probably it's a little bit too soon to ask me this Monday evening, but during the course of the week, I'm available all week. You can send me an email, post to the discussion forum. I have a question and answer discussion forum where you can post questions. You can do a lot of things to get a hold of me if you have any concerns about the class. But don't get behind. Stay with the material. Stay with going on the Blackboard site, which we'll look at in just a minute. Please stay up to date. It's a short session, 8 weeks, a lot of material, 4 cases, and a 10-page paper. That's a lot of work. So you got to make sure you manage your time and budget your time accordingly. You come to me immediately if you have concerns. With 28 students, that's a lot of students, and all of you need to keep in touch with me and make sure you know what I'm doing and looking for on a week-by-week basis. So let's take a look at our Blackboard. Okay, here's our Blackboard site, and I hope in these early days of this week number 1, you go to this Blackboard site and review it and make sure you understand what's going on. Okay, first of all, there's on the left-hand column is certain file folders and information you should be aware of. The course syllabus, which you already have, and an online calendar. All you need to do is click on this link here, and up comes our calendar and schedule, what I just showed you, right up there, so you can quickly make sure you know where you are in that particular week. Also, there's, again, PDF and a Word doc versions of our syllabus, information about me and our office hours. There's a goofy looking picture of me and my bio. And also areas where you can get the e-policies about correct behavior using the internet and online. And then some interesting links that you might be using in our class. Yahoo Finance, the Wall Street Journal, CNBC, and then another link also to our YouTube playlist. Let me click on that YouTube playlist. Up comes our YouTube site. And you want to go to playlist and look for Business 630, Corporate Finance, okay? Here it is right here. It says summer, but that'll be changed to fall later on this evening. And you click on that, and up comes a lot of videos, a lot of explanations, a lot of information about our course. So it's the YouTube playlist under Business 630 Fall. And if you click on that, there'll be a lot of good videos. All these videos are also in Blackboard, and we'll show you that in just a minute. But that's a good site. Also, there's some other classes and stuff there that might be of some interest to you. In the announcements area is when I send you an email, it'll be automatically posted to this announcement section. Just make sure you keep up to date with your Laverne email. Make sure, because you're online, it's your responsibility to check in and make sure you're up to date with all the information I am providing. You can't just do it one day a week. Oh, on weekends I'm free, I'm going to concentrate on Hassie's course. That would not be advisable, because remember, our week ends on Sundays. If you try to pile all this work that you have to do into the weekend, you might be cutting yourself a little bit short. So check in daily, or if not every other day, to your Laverne email, to your Blackboard site, making sure you're up to date on what's happening. That's the key. That's what online study is about. It's not during a regular class period you do everything. It's 24/7, every day of the week. So you have to do that to be successful, especially at the MBA or graduate level. Then we have a site called Zoom and YouTube links. As I post this lecture video, will be posted to this site. Also will be posted in week number 1, the recording of this lecture video. Here's our office hours on Monday evening. That's another link that you already have. Student discussion forum. All right. If you have questions of me, you can just click on this and you can create a thread, type a subject. Hey, Hassie, what's up? And then you can type in your question or concern and hit submit. My cell phone would beep, and I know I have a posting, and I'll get immediately on and answer that for you. All right. The thing about the discussion forum, it's available to all students, and all students will see the material posted by everybody in this forum. So there's not much confidentiality here. If you want confidentiality in your question, you have to email me or text me. So that's how that works. the discussion forum if you have questions. Also, there's a discussion post that I'd like you to do this week by next Sunday, August 29th. I'd like you to go to this discussion post and do two things. Write a paragraph or two and tell us a little bit about yourself so your fellow students can get to know you. A little biography, where you work. Tell us about your interest in finance or why you're getting an MBA degree or something like that. Also give us your social security number if you'd like. That's a joke. But just tell us something about yourself so we all get to know each other. I've supplied my bio there so you can take a look at it. Also, I want you to select a company. Another task I would like you to do individually is in this thread that you answer, select a Fortune 500 company. In other words, the Fortune 500 is a magazine that is a business magazine that produces a 500 listing. It's the top 500 companies in America. But basically, if you just pick any big company, that's okay. So I want you to pick one company, and we're going to follow that company at certain times during the course of our class sessions. And also you have some of that work about that company in some of your case studies. So I want you to pick a company. And one thing I want you to do about this company is I want you to find the beta, the current beta of this company. You can go to Yahoo Finance. You can just type in on Google, what's a beta for Apple Computer? And it will give you that. The beta is what our topic is about in chapter 6 this week, risk and return. Beta is a statistical calculation of risk compared to the market of your company. Market risk is a beta of 1. Zero risk or interest or risk-free interest rate is a beta of 0, no risk. That's the United States Treasury. What is your company? If you click on the thread here, talk much, and go to my example, you'll see my bio, but also my Fortune 500 selection. I'm going to be tracking Disney during the course of our class. That doesn't mean you can, so that's fine. All right. So for this class, I've selected Disney, and the current beta of Disney, I looked it up, is a 1.2. So Disney is a little bit riskier than the market average of 1. And now what does that mean? It means that if I wanted to invest in Disney as an investor, I need to expect a little bit higher return than the market is giving me. I want a little bit extra because the risk of Disney maybe not providing that is out there in the market. Their returns have been up and down. Disney stock in the last year has not been that great. They've been hit by the pandemic. It's beginning to come back, but that risk is over 4 years. The beta calculation is going back 4 years of quarterly returns of Disney compared to the market. It talks about this in chapter 6. And if you look at week 1 in our Blackboard, you'll see a lot of videos that explain beta. So I want you to take a look at them. But find the beta of the company you're selecting, because we're going to be doing some work on that next week. That's important. So that's your task as far as work is concerned this week, is to complete this week number 1 bio by next Sunday and select a company, corporation that's publicly owned, and find the beta for that company. Now, some of you might select some companies where there's no beta, especially if they're brand new companies or companies that maybe have had losses for the last couple of quarters. If it just says NA for a beta, just say, Mr. Hassey, I've picked XYZ company and there's no beta available for this company. And I'll know that, but just let me know about that. So that's what I'd like you all to do this coming week. A little bio, introduce yourself to our class, to me, and also select a company that we're going to track and do some work in our casework over the course of this fall session, and find the beta. So there's some work for you to do in the discussion forum for this week. And then we go to week number 1. Here's the agenda that I just showed you at the beginning of this video. There's our agenda for this week. This will be in the same place every week for every class. Here's a PowerPoint that I'd like you to look over this week, and I'm going to show you that in just a minute. A PowerPoint about the highlights of the first week of our class. Take a look at that. And then here's that discussion post again that you can click on this discussion post and it goes to the same file folder. So there's our work you have to do this week. Here's the PowerPoint of chapter 6 of our text, which goes over key topics. I give you a couple of key pages to review. Page 256, or the capital asset pricing model. A lot of you have had this in other classes. Make sure you understand the capital asset pricing model. We talk about that in a graded point next week. And then some videos about bond prices, interest rates, stocks and bonds, risk and reward, and beta. So please take a look at these videos. They're not very long. You can watch them right here in your Blackboard, or they're on our YouTube playlist as well. But they're part of the lecture, part of your work for this week. And every week is like that. I have it set up for every week going forward in our class. And you'll see that as we go forward. I'll be adding some week 2 material, week 3 material as we move forward in the class. I wanted to see how many students we have, what we have to do to meet our guidelines and the assessment of this class. And I'll be posting a lot of this in the coming week. So please take a look at our Blackboard, get to know it. Week 1 is all up and running and posted, and the discussion work that you have to do for this week. Now here's the PowerPoint that I posted in week number 1 that I'd like you to walk through this week. It's just an introduction to Business 630, our course. Our course is Corporate Finance. It's a course about explaining the financial aspects of critical thinking and strategic thinking in finance, of which all MBA students need to have as part of the MBA curriculum in our program. It goes over things that you've already had in business finance or in accounting and relays them to strategic decision making in finance. Corporate finance is important to management because the knowledge of capital budgeting, capital structure, and working capital provides for effective decision making if the corporation is to maximize profits and stay competitive for future success. In other words, you got to know where the money is. Where's the capital? Long-term capital planning is capital budgeting, capital structure. Short-term capital planning is working capital. A lot of you might work for companies that have cash flow problems, might not be able to pay bills or meet payroll. That's working capital, short-term capital financing. But also you might have long-term capital. Where are we going to go with our market, product development, R&D? Are we going to go to new parts of the world or the country to sell our products? Where are we going to get the capital? Those are key strategic decisions for corporate finance. Revolving around 3 main investment principles or finance principles. Where we make the investment, what assets do we invest in, and are they going to give us a proper return on that investment? The return has to be over what is called the hurdle rate. Or as some of you might know, the hurdle rate is also the cost of capital, the weighted average cost of capital. We want to make more money than it cost us. How are we going to finance it? What's the mix of debt and equity? Remember, there's 3 legal ways you can finance the purchase of assets that create cash flow and revenue. Borrowing of money, debt, either short-term, like accounts payable, 30 days, or long-term, bonds, mortgages, bank loans, where there's interest involved over a period of time. Debt. The second way is issuing equity, stock, finding corporate partners, venture capital, hedge funds, if you're a privately owned business, issuing common stock, IPOs, issuing stock in the marketplace, the issuance of equity, having owners supply you with capital. Your next decision is the dividend decision. How are we going to return the investment back to our investors? If it's a debt, you pay them interest and pay back the loan. If it's stock, what's our dividend policy? How much money are we going to keep of our profits? Debt is one, equity is the second. And the third, which is the cheapest, is make a profit. Take your profits and reinvest it into new capital. Profits. Well, sometimes companies, their profits are all gone because they have to pay back debt or they got to pay dividends. And sometimes they don't have enough capital to reinvest from their profits. That's part of operations. So debt, equity, and profits are the three ways to fund the purchase of assets that make your business go. And these are the principles behind that system. We're going to learn about in the next week the time value of money. Very important. Inflation, investment return, amortization. Interest is a key driver of business right now for many years now. Many years, 15 years, 20 years. No, not 20, 15. Money has been cheap. Interest has been low. But in the last few months, inflation is beginning to heat up. We're coming out of the pandemic. People want to get paid and reimbursed. Companies want to make back those profit margins. Costs are going up. We'll talk about that. One of the key determinants of finance or corporate finance is to increase the value of a company in stock prices, in cash flow, increase the value of a business. That's why we buy stock. You don't buy Apple stock to have it go down in price. You don't lend money by buying a bond of a company to not get paid back interest and default on their loan. Companies have to increase the size and the wealth of their business, generating profits, spending some of those profits in operating capital, creating free cash flow. And the value of that free cash flow is determined by your cost of capital, interest rates, risk aversion, business risk, the mix of debt and equity. All these are key components that we're going to talk about a lot over the next few weeks in this course. The definition of free cash flow. This is a kind of maybe a new term for some of you. Cash flow is revenues minus expenses in a cash flow type of way. But free cash flow is the cash you have available after you've paid out all your investments or your expenses, your working capital. What is left over to pay back debt? What is left over to pay dividends? What is left over to buy back stock from the investors? What is left over to invest in new product development? Free cash flow is huge, and we'll be talking a lot about that in the next few weeks. All driven by what's our money costing us? What's our overall cost of debt? What's our overall cost of equity? One of the ways companies have solid returns is they manage their costs, keep the cost of their money low. That makes the existing value of the assets more valuable. It's all driven by outside factor as well. Every morning I wake up, because I'm kind of semi-retired. I used to own a company for many years, but now I'm free of that. That's why I'm teaching. And I go to the newspaper, the Wall Street Journal. I go to CNBC, and I find what the markets are doing. 9 key indicators. And here is this over the last few years. The Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ. Key indicators of our stock markets. The 10-year United States Treasury yield, a key indicator of the cost of money. Crude oil and gold, the major commodities that tell us about how the world economy is doing. And currency valuation, the euro, the Chinese yuan, and the Japanese yen. How those stand in relationship to the United States dollar. All these drive our businesses. All these drive our consumers and their ability to get interest in our products. We're going to talk about these indicators throughout our course. Look at 2019, look at 2020, and look at today, August 20th, last Friday. Look how much the stock markets have gone up in value. Look how the cost of money have increased inflation, U.S. Treasury yield. Look as crude oil has gone up as the economy demands oil, but also that the stockpile of oil is now being released and available to consumers. Gold has gone down. People would rather put their money in the stock market instead of the gold. The gold is like a hedge fund. You buy gold in response to protecting yourself in the future when the markets do have bad times and go down. And the relationship of the United States dollar to the euro, to the yen, and to the Chinese yuan. US dollar is strong in this market coming out of the pandemic. American companies have gotten through the pandemic. Why? They laid off people. They kept their margins because their revenue stream was dropping, so they cut their expenses, but they maintained profits. That's why the stock market continues to do very well. Companies are making money. A lot of people are earning less money or out of work, but companies are managing. That's what you guys are doing in the MBA program. You're learning how to manage certain situations relative to the market or the industry that you're in. Your mind is going to be trained to think that way. And this is part of the way of doing it. Understand the world around you. Key market indicators. The $100 bill, the Chinese yuan, the euro, all leading currencies that when I was an MBA many years ago, I didn't care what the Chinese yuan was doing or the euro. There was no euros back then, or what other currencies were doing. I could care less. Why? All our products were being made in America. Now American products are being made all around the world, in China, in South America, in Europe. So the value of currency is huge if you're running and making strategic decisions in regard to capital. We'll talk about that in this class. So that's our introduction. You can see where we're headed. Read the syllabus, look at our schedule, look at Blackboard, look at chapter 6 and the videos pertaining to that, learn about risk and return. We're all going to talk about these topics next week in week number 2 when we talk about time value of money and bonds. And in future weeks, stocks. In future weeks, capital investment. These are all designed to make us think. The case studies that begin in a couple weeks are designed to take situations that we're talking about in our courses and our topics and apply them to strategic decision making. So that's what we're headed to in this course. But before we can begin that, you need to understand where we're at, what we're going. Do you have the material available? Do you have the technology to look at these videos, to study on your own without being in a classroom? So I look forward to working with you all. Wish you much success. You know where to find me. I'm available every Monday evening or even at any time that we can arrange. But I'll always be here Monday evening if you have questions. Look for these videos every Monday, and that starts our week off in our review of our material. So look at your discussion post tonight or this week and do that work. And we're off and running, and I look forward to working with you all. Thanks, everybody. This concludes week number 1 video, and we'll see you all down the road. Adios.